That is an expression of the melanin. Take the melanin out of somebody, they're dead eventually. So we don't possess melanin, we are melanin. Do y'all understand the point I'm making? Melanin is not something we have, something that we are. In every aspect, there's melanin in our brains. It's melanin in every aspect of our being. So we don't have melanin. We are melanin. The European is not melanin recessive. He is the absence of melanin. Do you understand the point I'm making? There are black people that are more dominant in melanin and recessive in melanin. All white people look the exact goddamn same. They got black hair. That's melanin. No. They look the same. Do you see what I'm saying? They all look the same. And the small percentage of melanin that they have, to me, qualifies them as being completely absent of it. It's like if you drink some Kool-Aid and somebody puts some sugar in it, but you don't taste it. You're going to say, ain't no sugar in this. No, but it's 0.1% of sugar because I dropped 2 little bits of sugar up in there. You're going to be like, I don't taste no sugar. And you're going to drink that Kool-Aid as though it's the absence of sugar. Am I correct? And if you want it sweet, you're going to go put some more sugar in there and you're going to pretend like it didn't have none in there in the first place. That's a fact. So our beings are the crystallization of dark matter consciousness, what we call the womb energy, the universe or the cosmic space within the black woman. Because we have outer space, there are 3 spaces. We have the outer space within the cosmic planets. We have the inner space of the mind and the inner space of the womb. Because the womb is the mind. With all of the intelligence to develop the consciousness of the child. So that's 3 spaces. 3 spaces. That's deep. Because the womb is an intelligence of itself that imprints its intelligence on the child. That's heavy. So it is in space. That's space. That's the entire realm of existence of intelligence. That's deep. And it's growing off of the darkness. You know, when you have the incubators and incubation periods, you're supposed to leave the eggs in darkness. Ain't that heavy? That means that the egg is getting something from the darkness. We can calculate photosynthesis. This is what the plants get from the light. But we don't know what we're getting from the darkness, though. That's what rejuvenates us. We got to go in the darkness to go to sleep. We need, just as though we need light, we need darkness. And it's the darkness and the intelligence encoded within the darkness of the womb of the woman will be the imprint of the mind of the child. That's heavy. And it will begin to crystallize that darkness within the womb of the black woman. And the crystallization of that will show up in features and in the melanin of the child. That's heavy. That's heavy. Next, I want to go into, when I say the true black enlightenment to black supremacy, elevating one's mind to recognize and experience the divinity of the black man and woman today. That was such an important subject to touch on because it's a crash course and where all of the historical stuff is leading people to. But a lot of that information is leading people to just a desire for more information. It hasn't really altered their paradigm or how they see their people. It just have made them more hungry for more information to make them escape the reality of doing the one necessary thing, which is seeing the divinity in their own people. So this is a call on people to stop hiding behind nation building and organizational concepts and get money schemes and deal with black supremacy in and of itself and see what you start seeing then. Because we already had organizations. I keep saying this. We had these entities and groups. But what we didn't have is the ability to see supreme black beings outside of our opticals. And if you find the most successful of our organizations that we had and the most peaceful, harmonious times we living in, you'll find that there was more black pride. And you find that those black people looked outside of themselves and saw black as being beautiful in a sense of seeing supreme black beings outside of themselves. Their ability to do that was the difference between the times. We can have the same organizations that we have then. But if we don't have that perspective on our people, we are already working against ourselves. Already. It has already been rigged. So the black God consciousness was meant to begin to see black as divine, to associate the highest with blackness. And when they begin to do that, now they can make those associations in their physical experiences with their own people. Seems very religious. But that's the gist of it. We can work with white people and set up a nation to protect us from other white people. We can get money and get resources from white people and set up something where we and all white people get money at the same level. That's not black supremacy. Nor is that black sovereignty. We have black nations today, and there are black nations in Africa, where even those nations are killing black people. And those nations even are working in puppets for white people. But they're still black nations, but they're using all their energy and resources to give them to colonial powers. So if we can go from nationalism, organization addiction, and all that stuff, and narrow it down to black supremacy, the rest is coming with it. Because any organization we set up will be a black supreme organization. Any group that we have will be a black supreme group. But that black supremacy is the essence of it. The perspective of the change of black people, that's my work. To be an exemplification of the manifestation of the supreme black man. That's my job. That's my job. Any other type of nation, black people killing themselves, they still have a nation. You got a nation of black death. You got nations of black hate. They exist. That if you go in Africa and see them cutting each other's arms off and killing each other, we have nations of black hate. So it is not merely to create an organization. That's why we start talking about enlightenment, because we can enlighten organizations that already exist by interjecting black supremacy into them. So this was not based on merely setting up an organization or just merely building an army. Black supremacy was first the army to protect black supremacy. Black supremacy is not an army. But there are armies based on black supremacy. Do you see the difference? Black supremacy is not a nation. But there can be nationhood based on black supremacy. Do you see what I'm saying? Black supremacy is every supreme black individual realizing a proper perspective. Do you see what I'm saying? And the ability of black people to look at each other and realize the divinity of one another. That's black supremacy. Whether there is this big nation infrastructure of all these people or not. That means we can't be just supreme at the Million Man March. If ain't a million niggas there, you ain't talking about nothing. We only become supreme when there's millions of us there. We only become supreme when it's 100 of us or 50 of us. We're not supreme. One black life is invaluable. So we should call it supreme groupism. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when I say black supremacy and enlightening people into that, the problem begins to rectify itself. Because when we can no longer hate ourselves, we really can no longer hurt ourselves, nor can we allow ourselves to be hurt. And whatever type of organization that become, Black Panther Party, Black Snake Party, Black Tiger Party, you understand the point I'm making? Black Lion Party, whatever party that you have to create based on black supremacy, we respect it. Whatever institution you have to create based on black supremacy, we respect it. But institutions and groups and all that, I'm not with the agricultural movement. And I love vegetables. I'm not trying to save the world. Get to be a group of black people to save the whales. I'm not trying to get with a group of black people to save wildlife. My basis of perceiving and interfacing with our people is based purely on black supremacy. That's a fact. Specifically. So, look at me more not as just a black nationalist. Look at me as a black supremacist. And as a manifestation, an embodiment of black supremacy. And if you cannot see that, you're a black devil. That hurts you. And you got to squint when you're looking at that. Like, this nigga think he is. You are a black devil. Don't look at me as a member of your nation or as some part of your potential part of your economic scheme. Some piece in your chess game. Look at me sociologically as some social engineer. When you look at me, see a black supremacist. A black supreme being. If you cannot see that in and of itself, the consequences are of your own. Because such reality will be proven. Because as a supreme being, therein lies the supreme ability to act and bring about supreme action. Every single time, the results will be supreme. That's a fact. So this is a black supremacy movement. Not a black hatred movement based upon achieving these and those objectives. We didn't come together just for no objectives. Pimps come together with prostitutes for objectives, am I correct? The exploiter and the exploited have objectives. The employer and the employee have objectives. Black supremacists don't have objectives. They didn't come together for objectives. They have objectives. They didn't come together for objectives. That coming togetherness was based on what? Black supremacy. And objectives came from that. And those were black supreme objectives. That's heavy. That ain't no gang nation. That ain't no percentage nation. Because none of these other types of nations, even sovereign nations, none of these nations even exist or even relevant without the white man. You need sovereignty from who? From the white man. So this is a relative thing. Black supremacy is not relative. It is the perfect relationship from black self to black self. Do you see what I'm saying? It checks everything else. But it's the perfect relationship. So I not to be repetitive, but I go to say this again. Black supremacy, we did not come together for objectives. Specifically. But a lot can come out of that. Because you will see out of black supremacies, out of seeing supremeness, you will see yourself doing a hell of a lot of things. Making a hell of a lot